There you
Hey everyone, this is Andrew Lawrence and Connor Ford with the Arch Conservative, and we're here tonight to interview Matthew Vitale. Matthew is a student at the University of California, Riverside. You may be familiar with him after this week. Matthew experienced something that is going on a lot of university campuses around the United States right now, but he kind of gave us a closer look at his experience. On Wednesday, Matthew was attending a student organization retreat on campus when a radical leftist on his campus violently snatched his hat off of his head. He was wearing Make America Great Again hat, and an altercation ensued in the student life office. So we're going to kind of speak with Matthew and get a little bit of information about what happened exactly and what he thinks his school's response has been since the incident and where he would like to go from there. So Matthew, if you'd like to introduce yourself and kind of give us a little bit of an idea of what happened on Wednesday, you're more than welcome.
Sure. So my name's, as you said, my name is Matthew. I'm a fourth year economics student at UC Riverside. I'm also the external vice chair of the College Republicans chapter at UC Riverside. Basically, what happened this past Wednesday, there was a student organization leadership retreat, is what it was called. Basically, it's a day where student organizations that are all affiliated with the same kind of mission. So for us, it was like, I think action and awareness is what they call us, or political. There's like designations that they give each individual type of student organization. And leaders from each of those student organizations got together, as they do every year at the school's behest, just to kind of go over the bureaucratic stuff, get some tips as to how to file your budget, how to apply for insurance for events that you hold, things like that. And I wore my "Make America Great Again" hat to the event. I needed a hat that day, so I just picked that one. And when I got to the event, everything was fine for about the first hour or so. After that, though, there was a basically a mixer and icebreaker kind of thing where we had to go walk around the room and talk to people. As I was about to go sit down, the event itself happened without incident, really. But when I went to go sit down, this woman, Edith Macias, who's apparently a leader at one of the other student organizations, obviously, I don't know which one, um, came and took the hat from off of my head and ran away with it. And I proceeded to chase her, and I tried to get my hat back, and she adamantly refused, kept refusing. And I caught up with her at the door to the building, and it was just crazy. I was trying to grab my hat back, and I couldn't. At one point, as she was walking away from me, and I was trying to get my hat back, she looked at me and she said, "What are you going to do? Are you going to kill me?" And so at that point, I said, "You know what? I'm not going to escalate this any further. I'm not
Yeah,
going to do
she was
anything
trying to
more."
bait you into, making giving you some of the blame.
Right, right. And so at that point I was just like, you know what? I'm done with this. I just kept following her. I let her walk away. And at that point it occurred to me I should probably get this on video, because otherwise there's no way that this incident would have been, recorded. It would
Mhm.
have been my word against hers, and nothing would have happened. So I was started recording, and as we walked towards the student life office, it's basically the office where all of our student organization advisors are. I don't know why she thought to go there of all places, but she walked down to the student life office. I went in with her, and she proceeded to basically attempt to enroll the administrators in the office in punishing me for wearing that hat. Her allegation was that, oh, the leaders of most of the student organizations on this campus are people of color, so this is bad and wrong, and free, f your freedom of speech, she said several times.
Yeah, and
um,
in screaming about the Make America Great Again hat representing genocide and denouncing all of your First Amendment constitutional rights to wear the hat, how did you feel when she started saying that you were responsible for mass genocide in this country?
well, honestly, I'm just mystified. I've been awake for the 9 months that Trump has been president. um, I don't see any genocide. Maybe that's just my white privilege talking, but I don't see any genocide. It's honestly, it's just the same narrative that is perpetuated by the left over and over and over again that people drink the Kool-Aid for. And then they just spit it out, the same exact narrative every single time something like this happens. And they use that to justify their trampling upon of other people's rights. It's just sad.
Well, it is definitely sad. We have a whole generation of millennial Americans that are running around screaming about fascism and all the while acting like fascists. So
Exactly.
Exactly. It's a little bit hypocritical in practice to run around and scream about fascism and to indeed advocate to censor someone else's speech. They have a constitutional right to speak as they please, and it's definitely sad, and it's a problem on our public university campuses.
Yeah, no, it is. It is honestly, it's just ridiculous. The fact that the climate on campuses, really across America, has come to this point where people just believe that it doesn't matter what you think, it doesn't matter what you believe. All that matters are my feelings about what you think and believe, and my feelings about what you think and believe supersede anything, supersede your rights, supersede the law of the land, even in this case, in which you cannot steal someone's property.
Yeah. So when people think about the state of California, and including myself, I immediately think of a very, very leftist state, leftist government, leftist people. What is the political climate on your campus right now? Do you have a strong base of conservatives?
Well, I would say prior to this incident, the campus climate was pretty muted. At every campus, there's liberal, there's a liberal influence. That's just the way things are. But at least before this incident, it was always just kind of an undertone. There was no real radical or at least physical opposition to conservatives on campus. There's just maybe a medium-sized group, I'd say, of us in the College Republicans chapter. But since this incident happened, the entire thing has been ratcheted up several degrees. It actually happened again just the day after while I was trying to table and recruit with my student org.
Wow.
So, Matthew, you said you've had two instances in a row where someone has grabbed your hat off. Prior to this incident with the student Edith, did you have any problems wearing a Make America Great Again hat on campus?
Not at all. Not at all. I mean, every now and then, you'd get the looks, you'd get the comments here and there. People would be rude here and there, but nothing physical. No actual confrontations beyond just, oh, you're a fascist, or oh, you're a bigot. There was nothing real.
So immediately following the incident, I know that a lot of the mainstream media networks that are covering this particular story have cited in their articles that she was arrested. Was she actually arrested, or was she just detained?
At that point, she was just detained. It is continuing. There is an investigation that's ongoing, and I was made aware that apparently since the hat was on my person, she actually committed a felony. So at this point, it's just under investigation. I don't really want to comment too far on that because I don't know 100% the details. I know UCPD would be a better source, for information on that, but I doubt that they can comment specifically just for privacy reasons.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say, it is under investigation. She was detained that day. And yeah, it's just continuing under investigation.
So at this point, are you considering at all pressing charges?
Very much so. Very strongly. At first, I was reluctant to, especially because that day, I was tired of the entire situation. I just wanted my property back. That was all. It's like I told the administrators in the video, I didn't want to make a big thing out of this. I didn't want to make a big thing out of this. I wanted my property back, and that's all. But frankly, with the attention that this has been given, I think that I have a platform now to really speak out about the condition of free speech on the college campus. And the fact is, it doesn't matter what you think about someone's apparel. It doesn't matter what you think about someone's worldview. They have a right to express that worldview, and they have a right to at least be, if not listened to, just allowed to speak.
And I think
that's all.
Many on the left side of the political spectrum fail to acknowledge the fact that the Constitution protects even the most odious speech,
Precisely.
the speech you don't agree with, hateful speech. Hate speech is protected in the Constitution
Precisely.
so long that it doesn't incite violence or cause a problem with the common public good. So even if you were all of these things that she said that you were in the video, if you were a racist, if you were a xenophobe, in America, you have the right to be all of those things so long as you don't hurt other people.
Right. Right. No, and it's, it really was this radical idea at the time that America was going to be a society that was free from thought crime. There was not supposed to be any such thing as a viewpoint that can be silenced specifically by merit of that viewpoint alone. There is no constitutional ability to do that. The whole point of freedom of speech, the whole point of the Constitution, is to protect even the speech that you find most odious, as you said. That those are the speech that deserve to be heard most.
So since the incident, how has the administration reacted? Have you had any backlash from the administration, or have they affirmed that you were right in exercising your free speech rights to wear this hat, and that she was wrong in violently ripping this hat off of your head and stealing your property?
Well, I would say that's really a two-part answer. The campus administrators in the student life office that day handled it as best as they possibly could. They were completely blindsided by it, but they did end up affirming my right to freedom of speech, my right to my property. And they handled it as best they could. In fact, one of the administrators from that office actually came over to our table the day afterward and shook my hand and assured us, hey, you have the right to do whatever you want to do here. At the same time, the response by the university officially, or maybe not officially, but the response from the university's chancellor in an email that was sent out is more disappointing, to say the least. He sent out an email in which he asserted the right to free speech on campus, which is great, but then went on to say in a subsequent paragraph that the freedom of speech that we enjoy on campus should come under the purview of our what he called the principles of community, one of which is the principle of mutual respect.
Which translates into you have the right to speak freely on campus, but you don't have the right to say things other people don't agree with. So if you're against
precisely,
if you're against the
and it shows a fundamental misunderstanding of freedom of speech, because freedom of speech is there to protect ideas and thoughts that you find disrespectful, because the thoughts and the ideas that you find disrespectful are the ones that are most likely to be silenced. And that is the whole point of freedom of speech, is that no one is silenced, no matter how odious society finds their point of view.
So in all of this conversation about what Make America Great Again means, what MAGA means, what does the phrase Make America Great Again, what does that mean to you? As an American, what does that mean to you?
Well, I think there's really several meanings. I think the first and most obvious meaning of making America great again is a return to the principles and the values and the ideas that made America great in the first place. So the ideals that founded America: limited government, small, the affirmation of small business, limited government, things like that, that made America great, really, in the first place, that made America unique. I think in addition to that, it also means that we need to be unified. Frankly, America is great precisely because of how much of a melting pot she is. You are an American when you come here. There is no black, there is no white. There is American. And frankly, part of making America great again is making America unified again.
Mm-hmm. Those ideas are in stark contrast with what that student suggested to you. You seem to have very little respect for America as a whole, in saying F your laws, F your free speech. But again, she said, I was born here. Seems like she doesn't recognize what Make America Great Again means to you.
Precisely. And again, she has the right to her opinion. She has the right to hold that opinion, as repugnant as I find it. She has the right to that opinion, the right to infringe upon my rights, and she does not have the right to steal my property because of her opinions.
So prior to this particular incident, have you been involved in conservative activism at all? And I guess since this particular incident, I mean, your video has garnered over 3 million views on Facebook alone in just 2 days. Are you going to be more involved now? Are you going to be more of an active voice in the conservative movement?
Well, previous to that, I was involved in conservative activism. I joined my college Republicans chapter about a year ago. I'm now the external vice chair, as I mentioned. Before that, I've worked on campaigns here and there throughout the state. I worked on the local district attorney's race, my senior year of high school, as well as the local sheriff's race at that same time. When I started college, I was kind of trying to find some conservative activism opportunities. I didn't for a little while, but I did this past election cycle work on one of the most targeted assembly races in the state, that of Eric Linder, in the, I want to say 32nd Assembly District. I don't remember off the top of my head. But I have worked on, several, conservative, maybe not activism, but more electioneering prior to this. It is definitely something that I'm going to be more active in, more explicit activism. Again, I've been given a platform here, and I feel like I need to make the message known that just because you don't like something doesn't mean you get to silence people. That is not the values. Those are not the values that America was founded on.
That rings true and true. So since yesterday, people online have discovered that Edith Macias, the individual that snatched her hat off, she has created a GoFundMe page to fund the down payment of her new apartment. Do you have any comments about her mission to bring forth or collect funds to live in a new apartment? It sounds like she's using this situation and the negative publicity that comes from it, to bring forth.
Well, look, as far as I understand it, and I could be wrong, but as far as I understand, that GoFundMe page was actually created about a month ago. Obviously, it blew up recently with all of the attention that both she and I have been getting. I don't really want to comment on that. I feel like her financial situation, whatever she believes that she needs, she has a right to ask for. And other people, as it is a crowdfunding source, other people have the right to give or not give. And that is strictly between her and the people that choose or choose not to fund her. I don't really have a comment on her financial situation.
Okay. So, go ahead, Connor. Sorry.
So I was going to ask, how has the response been amongst your peers at UC Riverside on campus? Have people come up to you, or not members of the administration, but fellow students? Have they come up to you and offered their opinion about what happened, or thanked you for standing up for free speech?
Well, I have actually gotten, a lot of Facebook messages from people who say that, they go to UCR, and, some of them are liberal, some of them are conservative, but, most of them have been very supportive. The overwhelming support that I've received has far outweighs the few negative comments here and there. Mm-hmm. I did mention, earlier in the segment, yesterday, Thursday rather, somebody else did come and snatch my hat off my head and throw it in the bushes while I was trying to recruit for the college Republicans. But again, the support that I've received and the amount of people on both sides of the aisle, frankly, at this point, that have affirmed the fact that we have freedom of speech rights in this country has far outweighed the few people that say, oh, screw you. Oh, I hope you get kicked out of school, those kind of things.
That's good to hear.
So do you have any concerns for your safety after all of this? I mean, given what we've seen portrayed in the media on university campuses, specifically over the last 9 months since Donald Trump took office, we've learned that the left can be pretty violent. I mean, I've had my own personal experience with personal experiences with Antifa. You said that you've also been to Berkeley. You were at Berkeley last weekend for one of the riots that they had there. Are you concerned at all for your safety?
I wouldn't say I'm majorly concerned for my safety, but it has definitely been something that I've had to keep in mind lately. It is definitely something that's on my mind. I don't know if I'm, extremely concerned, but it is definitely something that's on my mind as of late.
Well, has the university put in place any any sort of parameter to protect you while on campus at all?
I don't know about anything official that they've done, but I am still in close contact with one of the officers that responded to the initial incident, and she has been very supportive of me and of this whole situation. So I mean, I'm sure that, you know, or at least I would hope that the university would support me should anything adverse happen. I am optimistic that nothing will, but my safety has definitely been towards the front of my mind recently.
And one of the things that's really striking for me is that there's been such a big push over the last 9 months for universities to implement, you know, safe spaces and all of these spaces for students to feel welcome and protected to share their views. But I don't necessarily know if university campuses have always been as welcoming of spaces for conservative students to, you know, to express their views. So it's going to be interesting to see how this university reacts, because given universities within the last few months and how they've reacted, particularly in the state of California, it can be a dangerous situation for students. So we hope that the university is going to kind of amp up parameters to keep you safe on campus.
Yeah, and I mean, I must say, I have faith that they will. I am optimistic about that. UCR has always, you know, historically been a very welcoming place. Like I said, you know, before this, there was always just an undercurrent of liberalism, and you know, there's always just a tad bit of hostility here and there from random people, but nothing major, nothing this violent, nothing this blatant. So I do have faith that the university can, you know, control this to a certain extent. The statement that the chancellor put out, or rather the email that he put out, I think on Friday, was somewhat disappointing, but I do have faith that the university at least affirms the rights to freedom of speech, and at least affirms the rights to one's own safety.
Do you have any advice for other conservative students on campuses that may experience similar situations in the coming months or years?
Yeah, I would definitely say, first and foremost, stay strong. First and foremost, understand that your rights and your safety are protected by the Constitution, which, despite the attacks on the Constitution, is still and remains the law of the land, that people cannot go against without violating that. So first and foremost, stay strong. Be strong in the fact that you have a constitutional right to freedom of speech, that you have a constitutional right not to be deprived of your property without due process of law. So first and foremost, stay strong in that and know that. Secondly, document everything, because the interviews, the attention, the follow-up from UCPD, the investigation, none of this would have happened had I not had a film of it. And that is the only reason that this has become as big a story as it has become, is because I had a video of the entire thing that happened.
And a very good video too.
Right. And, you know, obviously there was a little bit of, I guess you could say, luck on my part that she also posted her video of the incident, and just frankly added to the evidence against her. Yeah, it was rather short-sighted perhaps. But I mean, the last thing I would say is just keep your cool, because the moment that you sink to their level, you lose all credibility.
You do.
The moment that you start swearing, or the moment that you start harassing them back, you lose all of your credibility.
I can't stress enough how important it is for our particular generation, but also specifically our party, to understand the Constitution and to have some degree of constitutional literacy. Because you would be amazed at the people who allow other individuals to infringe upon their rights because they don't understand their rights themselves. Right. So, you know, luckily for you, you understood what your constitutional rights were, your rights, you know, to your property, your rights to free speech, and you exercised those. And even though it took your administration, between 7 and 8 minutes to get your hat back, you feel that in the end, you know, they stood by you and they stood by your rights and they affirmed those rights. That's what's important.
Yeah, and you know, like I said, the administrators that were in that office, they were blindsided. I honestly, they couldn't have picked a worse day to not miss work. That was definitely a very, very difficult situation. And I think at least the administrators in that office handled it with aplomb. They handled it as best that they possibly could, considering the circumstances.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Well, that was it for me. Connor, do you have anything else?
No, thank you for talking to us. And I guess my one question for you is, what happens if someone takes your MAGA hat tomorrow? Well, what are you going to do?
The same thing. There's already a file open about this whole incident. There's another file that's added to that larger file about the incident that happened on Thursday, where somebody else took my hat and threw it in the bushes. I'll do the same thing, because again, you have a right not to be deprived of your property. You have a right not to be silenced in this country.
Well, Matt, I think Connor and I and everyone else that's watching right now will all agree that you did the right thing, and you kept your cool, and you exercised your rights, you explained your rights, and you made all of us proud. So thank you so much for that, and thank you so much for giving the American people insight into what's actually going on university campuses, because what you experienced is going on everywhere. The only difference is you actually filmed it and posted it to Facebook for all of us to see. So thank you again. Thank you for taking the time out to come out and talk to us. And please keep in touch.
Yep. Keep fighting the good fight.
Thank you guys for having me.
Thank you. Bye.